Welcome once again, everyone, to another episode of The Beardy Boys. So, here's the thing with our absences and the inconsistency with our recordings and all that. There's several reasons, but I'll give you like the brief synopsis. One of the Beardy Boys is in the midst of a move right now. And if you can't tell who it is by his absence here, that would be Sir Chadwick. Unfortunately, Chad is in the midst of moving. He's been in a bit of a land dispute over his apartment now for like the last 6 to 8 months. I mean, I'm not gonna go and I can't go into like professional details about it because of Chad's privacy. But Chad basically has lived at this place. The like who owns it has switched hands multiple times, and now he's getting flack from all sides, basically saying, "Well, you have to do this in order to stay here." Or and then not only that, but then they're just like, "Well, we can't have you staying here because we're gonna just do this." And then there's the other side that's just like stonewalling him, not giving him any information or anything like that, and basically it's just telling him to go fuck himself. Um,
Isn't that like low key like illegal?
yeah, it is, but the thing is, it's like you have enough money to throw around. The lines between legal and illegal just seem to disappear.
True.
Because here's how I look at it. Here's how I look at it. The government sees you, you know, self-respecting person with a little bit of money. You make a mistake, and by the mistake I mean you run someone over with your car while drunk, and basically they chalk it up to, oh, he's just stressed from his everyday life. They'll make up any excuse they can, because here's the thing. They look at it this way: the transactional wealth that they can make from keeping you in court, and basically through settlements and all that, beats the hell out of sending you to jail where you're going to work slave labor for X amount of time. Whereas if you're someone who's in their minds not contributing to society, then they're just going to throw you in jail just to make you work for like the prison industrial complex for an X amount of time. And that's basically what they do. They see if you have money and you can put money towards the government or towards like the entity in which you are being tried in, then they're not going to put you in jail because you can make them money.
Yeah.
But if you're not making them money and you haven't been paying taxes or you haven't had a job or anything like that, then they're just going to throw your ass in jail and put you to work. That's how they do it. That's literally the prison industrial complex in a nutshell. But yeah, and either way, the whole deal with Chad having issues is the main reason why we haven't been able to record. Also, I've been in the midst of some personal stuff as well, stuff I can't really dive into because it part of it involves me, but the bigger part of it involves someone else, and they don't want that to be on displayed. So I'm just leaving it at that. And then of course, just my willingness to do this without Chad. I mean, I've I want to include Chad in everything that I do. I want to include you in everything that we do. But there's going to be times where you're going to be gone, Chad's going to be gone, and I just need to accept the fact that it's like when I was nervous about doing the ones without you, Rick. I was just like, damn, like it just doesn't feel complete. It doesn't feel right. But it's not really something we can help because each of us have
Mm-hmm.
our own lives and each of us have our own dramas and shit like that we're dealing with. That's like you. You're gonna be leaving for a while, and it's gonna suck that you're gonna be out of town. But I figured, hey, we might as well knock one of these out before that all comes to pass.
True.
So yeah, but yeah, the main reason why that's the main reason why we've been inconsistent here recently, and hopefully once a little bit of normality comes back into the circle, we'll be able to have some stable workflow on this, and we'll be releasing these at a more regular rate. So we ask y'all to please be patient. We're sorry about the inconsistency. So, anywho, I guess we might as well move on to the first topic of the day. Me and Rick actually semi-discussed this before we started, and while in the middle of it, I was just like, I need to stop. I need to stop because I'm blowing my
Yeah.
load way too early on this, and we haven't even started recording. So, Starfield is a circle of a lot of controversy. I know that there's a lot of people out there who are, upset at like how the game performs, upset at like basic things that are missing, like map, like easy access to the map, the fact that you don't pilot your own ship, the fact that there's all this stuff that people have complaints about. Mainly the fact that the game is big and empty. It's a lot like No Man's Sky was in the beginning. It's big, it's vast, but there's fuck all to do. And that's one of the biggest complaints. But then there's other controversies that people get into about the whole. I forget the YouTuber who, like, you mentioned him, like mentioning the.
Let me see. The person, I think his YouTube page or yeah, heel versus babyface.
Heel versus babyface. Interesting wrestling reference there, but all I gotta say is his whole thing over like the pronouns and all that. The thing is, it's Bethesda's game. They can do whatever the hell they want. It reminds me of these. It reminds me of these like Tumblrites back in like 2014, 2015, who are all over the place saying, "Make it gay, you cowards." It's like, make your own fucking game, you entitled little shits. It's like this guy here. It's like I'm sick and tired of fucking pronouns. It's like, I get it, but at the same time, dude, it's their game. If you want to like not have it, make your own fucking game. Like that's all you like. See, it's difficult. And here's the thing: you doing this, it basically negates out any criticism, like legit criticism about the game, because Todd Howard and his cronies are going to latch on to what you're saying, and they're just going to say, oh, you see, the reason the game's not successful is because these bigoted online gamers and all that. You are giving them the ammunition they need to sweep this under the rug as another excuse as to why their game wasn't successful, instead of letting the community legitimately tear it apart for like how empty it is. You're literally giving them an out. That's what you're doing. You are giving them an out for them to like make every excuse in the world. That's all I gotta say.
Mostly what I have to say is just, as a business point of view, to add more inclusivity sometimes is a good way to do it, depending on what you're branding and depending on what you're selling. Like Cyberpunk, obviously, you could be you could play as a guy character and you could basically be gay. You play as a girl character and basically be a lesbian. They're kind of doing a little bit of inclusivity. They're allowing you to be, gender neutral, don't have nothing. So Cyberpunk was very, very open on that kind of, inclusivity. And they, obviously the launch was horrible, but then after a year of fixing everything, now it's a decent game. Now there's DLC coming out, people are hyped for it. And that goes for all businesses. Depending on what you are selling and depending what is your major market, just like how Bud Light did not do it well because their market is typically Southern, rednecks. They're not in favor of the whole pronouns and that kind of stuff.
Southerners and Midwesterners who, and honestly, know your audience. That's the thing. I will say
exactly.
Know your audience, because the thing is, if you spurn your audience trying to like prove a point, the thing is, it goes to show you that not even as big a name as Budweiser can save you from basically you shooting yourself in the foot. And honestly, I'm not against if they want to do the whole thing with Dylan Mulvaney, cool. But at the same time, you also have to like appeal to your audience. Like if you want to like if anything, you could play the Dylan Mulvaney stuff in the markets where that would be more acceptable. New York, Los Angeles, like Washington State, places where it is more liberal in this country, and you could play those ads there, and it would be fine. But the thing is, you have to appeal to. You can appeal to all sides. You just have to be careful. You can't just be like, well, if you don't like what we did, then I suggest you don't drink our product.
No.
That's exactly what they did.
That's basically what they're doing with Bethesda. Bethesda's a gaming company. Everybody games. Doesn't matter what background you have, black, white, gay, straight, trans, gender neutral.
Yeah, I get that.
Everybody is a gamer. Anybody could be a gamer.
Yeah.
And why not cater to all? If you hit all demographics, that means you get all customers. If you are extremely one-sided on a way or a viewpoint, then you only get that party of gamers. If you're open and just discreet, like if you don't make it like if you don't force it down your throats, I think what he was mad about, what, just selecting pronouns in the game. That's it.
Yeah,
That was the only issue. Pronouns.
Yeah, that was his main like argument and his main crux. And here's what I'll say. I mean, he has the right to be upset about it if he wants to be, but there are much bigger things to be mad about when it comes to Starfield. Like, and plus, if you don't want to conform to it, you don't have to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to. But the thing is, if it's in the game and Bethesda's like making that one of their main points in the game, there's not really anything you can do about it. And you just have to grit your teeth and get through it. And plus, I guarantee you, that's not going to come up every single time you interact with something. It's just like, oh, hi, my name is heel versus babyface. He, him. I guarantee you that's not going to come up every time. Instead, it's just going to be like, hello there, heel versus babyface. I see that you're wanting to explore this planet. Well, in order to do that, you're going to need this. And it's like, I guarantee you, like, people just do that. Like, people who value that will find that to be enriching for them. They'll find that to increase their experience in the game and make that. Although I will raise a point that there is someone pointed this out. It was CGP Grey. There is a problem with over inclusivity. Whenever you're overly inclusive about stuff, you wind up missing the point that you were originally trying to make. And I think the point that they were originally trying to make was the fact that they needed to make a cohesive game that played well, that didn't bug out, that had basic functions that you would expect in a game this large, this vast, and this like sprawling. But yet, for me, I think a lot of gamers who focus on like the he, him, and the pronoun stuff is missing the point. It's like you're missing the point of the fact that this game is not good. This game is big, it's empty, and it has nothing to it. Maybe like 3 or 4 years from now, they'll pull. Hopefully, I will say this: I hope that they pull a No Man's Sky, because No Man's Sky, they kept grinding. They kept adding stuff to the game, and now and here's the thing: it's more excusable for Hello Games because Hello Games was a smaller independent company. And people are like, well, Sony came to them with a deal and all this and all that. Yeah, they came to them with a promotional deal. They didn't buy the company outright and just say, well, now you work for Sony. It's like, no, they're still a fiercely independent company. That's why Sean and his team left EA whenever it was one of the developers that got bought by EA, and they didn't want to work under EA, and they were like, we don't want that. We want, like, if they come to us with promotional deals, cool. We'll take the money and it'll help us out. But dude, I'm glad that there are companies like Hello Games who can come up like that and can admit when they've made a mistake and then make almost nothing but right choices from then on out. And then of course there's companies like Bethesda who have a history of misdirect. They have a history of just when something goes wrong, they misdirect, and they're just like, oh, well, the problem is actually this here, a much more deep-seated issue in the gaming community. And when people are given it, and when they're given the ammunition for that, they will hook, line, and sinker people on that every time. And they know that there are outliers out there in the gaming community who will bite every single time. They know they will, because a lot of these people can't help themselves. A lot of the people who are like these hardcore gamers online cannot help themselves. And that shouldn't be a representative of all gamers out there, because for instance, does Andrew Tate represent all men?
No.
Does what's her name? Does Cardi B represent all women?
No.
So why should we have why should all gamers? Why should we look at all gamers as though they're heel versus babyface?
Yeah, I mean,
instead, go ahead.
That's the same case with the Red Pill movement. They put the face of Andrew Tate for the Red Pill movement, and his brother went on Twitter and said, "Hey, we go on a lot of podcasts with Red Pill, but we are not Red Pill influencer supporters or anything that kind of stuff. They're a little bit too extreme. We are more direct. We are not part of Red Pill. We go on Red Pill spaces, but we're not Red Pill. So just that's a perfect example. Like it's yeah, put the face there doesn't mean they are it.
Yeah.
So they don't represent it because people. And that also goes for the Red Pill community as well. Because there are some people who are Red Pill that do a decent job on explaining and how to become a better man and all that kind of stuff. And you got
Yeah.
the extremists, like the Fresh and Fits, and
What else
other
is there to
names
say
I'm not gonna
about
say, but there's
them? Oh
other people
God.
that is just they're hypocrites entirely. Like they don't practice what they preach. So it's like you have those people who make it look bad, and then they actually have a few good grace people in there that's just genuine for what they do. So
Yeah.
that's how this heel person is with this StarCraft whatever.
Yeah. Starfield
Starfield, I
is
meant. My brain
Starfield.
hurts.
Well, it's okay. Starfield is a bit of a minefield right now, and honestly, I know how like this is all going to play out. It's just going to wind up eventually circling around, and Todd Howard is going to come out and say, "Well, the reason the game wasn't successful was this and that." Never mind the fact that Todd Howard's quality of work has just gone nowhere but downhill ever since Fallout 4. Fallout 4, well, Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 and Skyrim were his peaks. That's where I think he peaked as a video game creator, and now I'm just convinced that Todd has just fallen off of a cliff and he's just not interested in making games anymore. That's what I think. I think he's not interested in making games anymore. I think he wants out of it, but yet he's in it for the long haul with Bethesda, so he has to keep making games.
I mean, it's low key a cash cow when you are a developer with a big name like Bethesda,
Yeah.
and now it has the major support of Microsoft. It's almost like how the Fast and Furious saga is. As
Mm-hmm.
long as they say Fast and Furious in the title, it's gonna make a little bit of money. So they are going to make it ridiculous. They're gonna make it stray from the path they began with. Because
Oh
if you
boy.
watch Fast 10 and you watch Fast 1, you would not believe that's the same exact movies. You wouldn't
No,
think
you
it's in the
wouldn't.
same exact universe. You think they're two separate entities entirely.
Well, it's because the first one was about street racing and like basic common thievery. It's like, dude, these guys got defeated by a trucker with a shotgun. And then what do they do in like Fast 9? Oh my god. Like they can't not even the NSA can stop these dudes. They shot themselves into space. It's like,
But they know what the name is gonna make the money. So that
yeah.
goes for the person who's making
Well,
Starfield. He peaked at his all-time high with Skyrims and Fallout, all that kind of stuff.
mhm.
But he could quit. But if he quits, that's just all he gets is just residuals. If he makes an agreement to get residuals from those games, or he could just continue being part of the team, continue making millions of dollars to put shitty game after shitty game after shitty game. So it's like at this point, a lot of game developers are not caring what they're doing. Like look at Call of Duty. Like MW2 was fun for like a week,
Yeah.
and then the leveling system for the guns, you had to level up this gun to get the attachment on that gun. Then if you want a sniper scope on your assault rifle, you have to level up this particular sniper instead of having just I don't know. It was a weird system for um Call of Duty. And then to unlock this gun, instead of it being about levels, you have to level up this gun to like level
Mhm.
17, and then that's when this submachine gun's unlocked. But if you want to get this shotgun, you gotta level up this submachine gun, then this pistol, and then this battle rifle, and then after that battle rifle, this sniper. Then after you level up this sniper, then you get the shotgun. So it's like it's kind of a weird system, and especially the overlay being developed by Hulu. Hulu developed the overlay,
Oh
or
boy.
the yeah. So it's like there when you see COD and you know how the community is, they're gonna buy it anyways. So they could give you shit. They'll give you two maps. They'll give you unfinished stuff, a buggy game that doesn't start, or every time you open it, it will say update required, and it resets your whole entire game. But guess what? It's Call of Duty. It makes money, so they're gonna keep on continuing putting out shit,
Yeah.
and that's just the mindset of today's game developers.
I hate to say it, but I think modern game development peaked in like 2012, 2013, and ever
Yeah,
since then it's just been like residual stuff of just like regurgitating the same stuff and microtransactions. That's all it is. That's all it
I
seems to
will.
be with me.
I will actually go a bit further than that. I will say games peaked in the Xbox and PS2 era because
Ooh.
with those games, you had to be finished. There is no updates. There is no
I
internet
get your point with
downloads to
that.
fix a game. Now, game developers are like, oh, you know what? Fine. Let's just give out this broken game and then little by little give them pieces of what we've been wanting to add. So instead of giving them the full game, you get a full game that's a third complete, and then 2 months later, oh, here's another update. 3 months later, oh, here's another update. It kind of makes you want to go back to the game because now you're getting bits and pieces of what the game was supposed to be. While for the PS2, the
Well,
Wii, the GameCube, the Xbox, they had to give you the full game for
well,
you to
I
enjoy all of it.
I hate to say it, but the main thing with games back then versus games now, games back then were a lot easier to develop than they are now. Like now, because of like the complexity of the engines and everything, and just
Of
how
course, the
ridiculous,
graphical.
yeah, the graphical capabilities that are possible nowadays versus back then. I'm not saying that game development back then was easy, by no means. I mean, these were new tools and new things that people had to figure out, but there were a lot fewer outliers that could fuck shit up. I mean, it's like for instance, the development of like the X and the Y axis, like typical 2D games. And then you get games like Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, which had a fixed 3D plane. So, you had the 2D, you had like 2D plane, but then you had like a limited plane of like 3 dimensions that you could play with. Now, here's the thing with that. A limited 3D plane is a lot easier than an unlimited 3D plane. An unlimited 3D plane, there is so many outliers within that just alone. And then you got to program in different engines to work the physics, different programs to like for AI, different programs for all this, and you have to somehow miraculously make it all work. And some people develop proprietary engines just for that. For me, the one that blew me away was the fact that Microsoft blew, I think it was $600 million on the engine that they used for Halo, and
Wow.
it was so. And here's the thing, though: there are so many problems with that engine, though, that they've stopped development on it and have said that what games are being developed for it, that's going to be it. Like that's it. They're not going to continue any future development with it. It's like Jesus. And that's when you look at the Unreal Engine and stuff like that and what it's capable of and like where they're at with Unreal 5. It's like these people know how to build these engines and they know
Hmm.
what capabilities like what the capabilities of the engine are, and it's imperative that you know you work with an engine that's stable, and the Unreal Engine is one of the more stable ones out there. And I look at other engines like the Frostbite engine, the Anvil engine from like Ubisoft and stuff like that. And there's a bunch of interesting stuff that they can do with it. But in terms of stability, everyone's always going to go back to the Unreal Engine every time. Can't help themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a problem with Starfield as well. Is that the Creation 2 engine is brand new, and they still haven't figured out all the bugs with it. And I just I don't know, man. There's a lot that's there's a lot of problems with Starfield, and I know there'll be more revealed down the line, but we'll see how things go. But all right. Anywho, moving on to another subject. Unfortunately, with life comes death, and here over the last few weeks, there have been some pretty big losses. Pee Wee Herman was one.
Mm.
Yeah. Then of course, Bob Barker, but the dude was 99, so
Okay.
yeah, so he
That's a
he
long
lived
life.
yeah he lived a good life. Then of course there's also Terry Funk, one of my favorite hardcore wrestlers of all time. And then Bray Wyatt, who was only 36. That
Yep.
still sucks. a year older than me. That's what scares me is that he is a year older than me, and it's like Jesus. You know, I can't imagine what his family's going through right now. And then let's see, and then of course you mentioned Steve Harwell, the lead singer of
Smash
Smash
Mouth.
Mouth, and that one I was not aware of.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Today we're recording on the 5th.
It was on the
He
fourth.
passed away on the 4th. It was
Yeah,
in the afternoon time. Basically, it has been 24 hours. He passed away 24 hours ago. So if y'all don't know
that's
who Smash Mouth is and you only know like TikTok memes, hey now you're a
you're an
rock
all star.
star.
Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on. Get paid. Oh gosh. Eh,
So the Shrek song or it was All Stars. No,
yeah.
I'm a little bit tired. So I'm gonna
No,
put that a little bit out
it's
there.
fine, dude. That's fine. I'm a bit tired too.
I went to bed
So,
at 4 o'clock in the morning. I already
ooh,
said before, from the 14th to the 25th, I'm heading out of town. So since I'm gonna be gone for 11 days, I've been editing 13 videos. I recorded 12 reactions, gaming videos. So I'm kind of on E. So if I mess up things or misspeak, I know it's all
that's the
stars.
reason.
So that's
That's
the
the
reason.
reason.
I'm literally on E.
I hear you, dude. You ain't gotta apologize or nothing. Uh, anyway, so all these passings and everything. I mean, it's just like it. Here's the thing: death is something that's unavoidable. That's something that is just a fact of life.
Hmm.
And the truth is, I know there's people out there who's just like, well, will live, people will live forever and this and that. It's like, yes and no, because the truth is, um, there. I've heard people say that you die two deaths. The first one when you take your last breath, and the last time your name is mentioned. I've heard that because
Okay,
like,
I can see
everyone
that.
really gets two deaths, and I was like, that's why people think making history makes you immortal because your memory stays forever. That's like Achilles. Achilles. People remember Achilles, the Greek hero. People remember Sun Tzu. People remember Ivan the Terrible, and they remember all these people for all very different reasons. And people will remember Gandhi forever. People will remember. I think as long as people talk about society and everything, like there will be people who will be mentioned for a long, long time. But eventually, once the universe goes cold, I mean, all these memories will just fade into the nothing. And I know that's something that scares a lot of people, but don't be consumed by a fear of missing out. Don't be consumed by FOMO. Instead, enjoy the time while you're here and, indulge yourself in, in just like the splendor of life. Because, we wouldn't be mentioning Steve Harwell if, he didn't have an impact on us. We wouldn't be mentioning Bray Wyatt or Terry Funk or Pee Wee Herman or Bob Barker or anyone else who passes away. I mean, hell, Hector Lavoe has been dead for over 20 years, but yet your family still remembers him and talks about him
Yep.
avidly, right?
We still play his music. We still have his
Exactly.
albums. We have record players with actual records.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk about how he was like the king of Puerto Rico or all. It's always talked about.
Well, he was El Cantante, dude. He was like the singer of all
Yeah.
singers, and his legacy, I think, stands the test of time. Just like Bob Marley. Same thing with Bob Marley. Bob Marley's been dead since 1981. Like that's over 40 years right there, and the dude is still remembered and revered in such high regard. And then,
I mean, he has like 37, children.
yeah, he got around. That's for sure.
Yep. I
And
think he
then,
has 11 kids in total.
yeah, and then of course there's his other kids that I know that who was it? Rohan Marley had had like 7 or 8 kids with Lauren Hill. I was like,
Hmm.
damn, holy shit.
You got
Uh,
Damien. You have Kai, Steven,
Ziggy,
Ziggy.
yeah.
I forget which one it was. The Arthur theme song was sung by one of Bob Marley's kids.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah. So the Jamaican feel to Arthur, the Arthur Fist.
That's
That's one of
okay.
the kids of Bob Marley.
That's interesting. Jesus.
The more you know.
So the whole thing is like legacy and remembering and all that. I think it's important to always just enjoy them while they're here because they're not going to be here forever, and
Yep.
enjoy life while you're here because you're not going to be here forever. But I guess it's just one of those things you just have to accept. Uh, so
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Arthur theme song was sung by Ziggy.
Zig, freaking Ziggy Marley, go figure.
Yeah, but that's one mindset I've always had, and I typically don't hold grudges or I don't stay mad. I don't let things cook up inside of me because I have the mindset where this part is factual for those who are hearing. You have one life, and
Yes,
time is the most valuable thing in the world. No money in the world could get you basically your time back. You can't pay $1 million and make it from November 5th to November 4th. There's no money that does that. There's no
no,
power in the world that basically de-ages you or brings you back in time. Once
no,
today is done. Every second essentially counts. So with my mindset is I don't let things bother me. I don't let things get me mad. Even though if I'm going through a hard time, either mentally, financially, physically, any type of alities, anything that's bothering me, I don't let it eat me up because tomorrow could be the day where all of it is gone. Or maybe
mm-hmm,
tomorrow could be a day where it gets 80 times worse. Who knows? But me sulking and allowing it to continue to eat me up, I'm not gonna get back. I'm not gonna get back yesterday. I'm not gonna get back today. I'm not gonna get back tomorrow. Once tomorrow's done, then that's it. So I just don't hold grudges. I don't get mad at people, or if I do get mad, it's temporarily. I'll probably stop being mad at you after an hour or two, depending on what you do.
fair enough. Yeah,
If it's just like a little petty, you eat my last Reese's cups, then you're kind of dead to me for like an hour. But it
I hear
all
you.
depends on the grades of levels of what you've done to me. But at this point in time, I lost a lot of people in my life, and seeing all these celebrities and all these people you look up to, it's just like one by one, back to back to back to back. It's like people are dying at 80, 90, and some are, like I said,
Brant
why
36. Yeah,
it's 36. It's just like you never know when tomorrow could be your last
nope,
or today could be your last. So
this is
it's
true.
live your life to the fullest. Don't let people bother you. If you have a grudge or if you have a crush, fucking tell them, hey, I like your face. If it doesn't work out, guess what? Now you can move on to the next person. You might tell another person, I like your face. And maybe that person was supposed to be, be with you. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
actually do tell your crush, I like your face. Your crush might be like, well, I actually did kind of like your face too. And then now you're the star show of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, that's there you go, 1 to 1.
Yep.
Well, I was gonna say, man, I'll talk about one last thing and then I'll leave it be. But yeah, because I got to get off here because I got shit to do. But
Hmm.
either way, I've looked at there's people who are at Burning Man. You heard about Burning Man, right?
I heard about it.
Burning
That
Man's
much.
basically a festival that's out in the middle of like the California desert. A bunch of people go
I
out
heard about
there.
fire.
Well, no, here's the thing. They're being rained out because of like the unnatural rain for that time of year or for this time of year. There's like oh it's the worst Burning Man ever. It's like I thought y'all were complaining about a drought for like the last 5 years. I thought y'all would be happy that it was
Yeah.
raining out there because you see, here's my thing about people in Southern California complaining about a drought. It's like okay, whenever they redirected part of the Colorado River to irrigate the southern part of California, basically they did that to support about I think it was between 7 to 10 million people. How many people live in Southern California right now? About 35 million. So in that entire area, they're literally over capacity for like what the Colorado River is capable of producing. And now and here's the thing, it's there's always going to be droughts in California because of just that reason. Like there's too many people living there. There's way too much like population like massed together for
Hmm.
like everything to keep up. And I think there could be ways to help it, but I don't know. I mean, I just look at Southern California as like y'all are lucky that y'all even have the ability to live there because it was a fucking desert since people were on this continent.
Yeah,
Since people settled on this continent tens of thousands of years ago, it was always a desert.
yeah.
And it's like it's look, I'm not gonna like shit on California because there's way too many people online who do that already. I mean, I, I I would say the biggest thing with California is the fact that you know it there's huge mismanagement of everything going on in that state, and I think the biggest thing that needs to happen is just need to people need to realize like, hey, we're being taken advantage of. We need to stop this instead of like
Hmm.
treating it like it's a thing. It's like, oh, it's a party all the time out here in California. It's like, dude, the party's gonna be over if something's not done because like a lot of people are leaving. Like a lot of the people who have money are leaving, and
Yeah.
they're like it's almost like a mass exodus. Like it's like we're watching Exodus 2.0 from like the Bible. It's just like instead of the Israelites, leaving, and crossing the Red Sea, instead it's like oh the Californians are crossing the country and moving everywhere else. Same thing with New Yorkers too. New Yorkers are
I was
moving
gonna mention that because
and
I have a few
Chicagoans.
cousins. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of family that lives in New York, and one of my cousin, her wife became a nurse, but the commute where they live at, they add all these little highway tolls and these little fees and this and
It's
parking and
always the
that.
case.
So they're like, okay, before it was fine, but then now there's like a highway toll for $15, even if you're in the city. Like I understand you're going from New Jersey to the city, then you get the toll for the bridge. Even though $15 for a bridge, or like they even increased the bridge from New Jersey to Coney Island, so I think like 17. Every single year they've been adding $1 because when I used to go to Coney Island, like I used to go like every year, 4 times, every summer. It would be me, my wife, and my mother-in-law, and we'll go every year. I remember it being 12, and then you go 3 times, 4 times that summer. Following year was a 13, 14, 15. I think we just went not too long ago. It was 17. And but even if you're a resident, for you to drive around, you gotta park. You gotta pay for parking meters. You gotta pay a highway toll or even like a residential toll. And they're adding that. So I think actually the state of New Jersey is trying to sue New York for that bill because it's like now you're
Sheesh.
charging people to drive in the streets. There's a toll to drive in the streets.
Yeah.
So now a lot of New Yorkers are leaving, and not aunt, my cousin is leaving, even though they both work in New York. They're like, we might as well just live in Jersey, save a little bit of money on on monthly rent and on taxes, and just commute by bus or by train.
Or buy a boat and just like because that's one thing I've heard some people have done is basically they go to these private harbors where the city in New York can't do anything to them, and basically they just park there or they park their boats there and they just commute. They commute into the city that way because it saves a shit ton of money and time.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
mean, like
damn,
you could buy like rail passes, or like even if you do, like if you even think about it, if you're leaving your house and you're paying $15 back and forward, no, yeah, $15 back and forward, that's 30
mm-hmm.
bucks.
Yeah,
That's a lot. That's gonna be a lot of money if you
that's a
work
lot
five
of
days a
bread.
week. So 5 days a week, 30, that's $150. No, yeah, no, yeah, actually it is $150.
Yes,
It's
no,
150
yes,
bucks.
no, yes, no.
Like I said, I'm tired. So
It's
it's
going to school.
$150 a week, which results in $600 a month. Think about that. $600 a month just to drive back and forward. Well, a two-way train pass is $10.50. It still is a lot more money,
Yeah.
but it's way less at the same time.
Yes.
You're saving. Yeah, you're saving a lot more. $10.50 times it by 5. That's that's 50. That's 50. Because you have the 50 cents. That's 52.50.
Yeah.
Compared to 60.
Yeah, that's
So
hey, you
it's a
save
little bit less.
save
but
a little there. It adds up over time.
if you get a train pass, I think it's even way less than that. I think it's a monthly pass you get for maybe like $150.
Mm-hmm.
Or even no, I think like probably like $60 or something like that.
There needs
So
to be someone, there needs to someone be come in and like run an efficiency check on this shit, and just fix like where the inefficiencies are, and make it to where it's not so fucking expensive to just exist in a city like New York. I mean, I don't get it, dude. Well, anyway.
Yeah, $132 for a 30-day train pass.
Oh,
Better than $600 a month.
yeah, that's way better. So anyway, I'm gonna end it here. So I guess you can get yourself some rest, dude. And me, I'm going
Yep.
to. I got shit to move out and shit to clean up. So I guess I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you later, and have a good one. And everyone out there, I want to thank y'all very much for tuning in. If you want to see more from the Beardy Boys, feel free to subscribe, because we're going to try and make these more regular, try and do this at a more regular basis. We'll see as the future unfolds, but thank you very much for your patience, and thank you for tuning in. Till next time, I'm Nate.
I'm Rick.
Y'all be good people. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.